A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those government people, they make regulations and laws that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that, oh goodness, you went and elected. And the commissions that make decisions that directly affected you, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And the result can be a taxing situation.
Definitely could become a taxing situation. Also, what we want to talk about is a little bit of humor that we have to dig from these meetings.
Ah, yes, and its distant cousin.
Rumor.
Rumor.
And we usually don't have to dig too deep in order to find the humor, do we?
No.
Right, because it's out there. And if you folks don't attend, like he says, it'll probably come back and bite you some way or another.
Don't worry, we'll create the rumor.
Right. And if you want to catch up on what's going on at these meetings, tune in to Minutes by Minute, and we'll let you know the truth of the matter, won't we?
OCCTV.org, click on programs, and you're there.
We got it. And everything we say is truthful. Well, we might embellish a little bit. And as far as rumors, you're right.
Oh.
That's it. So pay attention.
We call it enhanced truth.
Right. Well, let's talk about a couple of meetings that went on the other day. One is the Leonard Village Council meeting, which occurred April 9th. Then the second one we're going to talk about is the Oxford Village Council, which is the April 10th meeting. One is Leonard, the other one is Oxford.
Well,
So,
two good councils.
two good councils. And let's start it out by saying that Mike McDonald is the president of the Village Council, or the village in Leonard. Cindy Grosskopf is the clerk, and the treasurer is Judy Verse. Charlene Southerby, serves on that board as a trustee. Paul Almiranti serves on the board. Larry Hoffman, Alexander Kennedy, and everybody was present at this particular
There you
meeting.
go.
Yep, everybody there. All those not here, raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand, so, you know, they're all there. They did the pledge, and of course, Southerby did the prayer, which is kind of a nice little, you know, spin on the thing.
Sure.
So get it started right. If God's watching, they have to do it right, right?
That's the one they always start out with, oh, please.
Oh, please. Yes. First thing they did, of course, cover the minutes for March 12th, and that was approved.
Okay.
No problem at all. The agenda was approved. Again, moving along at a pretty good clip here. Treasurer's report were received and filed, and then they covered the expenses, the payables. In other words, you would know all about that, wouldn't you?
Just my friend Bill.
Right? Your friend Bill. Dollar bill, $10 bill, whatever. You know all those things. He maintains the accounting at the station here, so he's pretty knowledgeable about this stuff. But anyway, you know that they have several accounts that they have to draw money from. And the first one was a general account that they had a bill for $6,649.36. The second one was a major account, which had $3,513.89. And then the local account, which was $101.25 withdrawn. And then there's a final account, which is the mill, the park and rec account. And that's a zero balance at this point. So nothing was pulled out of there. By the way, if
Nothing to take, nothing to give.
Nothing to give and nothing to take. As Jesse James once said, it's better to give than it is to receive. So what we want to say here is that if you folks want to give for the mill renovation project that they have going in Leonard, it's a great project.
And it'll give you a nice place to stop off when you're finished and you're on the Pollyant Trail.
They sure will. And as you're working, you know, if you're a volunteer worker, they usually have great little meals, you know, that they serve everyone. So that's kind of neat.
Ah.
Now that could be a rumor, but I don't spread rumors, so it'd have to come from you.
I'll take the hit
Okay.
as long as the food's good.
Their food is always good over there in Leonard. Those ladies and gentlemen know how to cook. Anyway, any public comment on non-agenda items? A gentleman stood up and he said that, what do you do in order to qualify for a building permit? In other words, what is the requirements? I know it's a 10-foot setback, you know, from the property line, that kind of thing, but what are some of the other criteria?
You go to the village offices for
Exactly,
starters.
exactly. And Mike McDonald said, that's what you do. You go to the
Village
offices. Right. And so he said,
They
okay,
will guide
thank
you down that straight and narrow path to success.
Yes, they will. Very knowledgeable people up there at the office. And one more thing he said before he sat down, he said, did you know that there's a drainage problem in a certain area, the street, and needs to be looked at? And Mr. McDonald, President McDonald, he said, no, we'll take a note of that. That's kind of what you do, take a note.
I take notes, but he acts on them.
He does act on them, yeah. You can rest assured that he will follow up on this. New business, chloride bid. They had a chloride bid to put chloride on the back alleys and so forth. And the bid was for 8 cents per foot for the street and for the alley, and 50 cents per application for the Pollyant Trail parking lot. There's only one bid that came in. It was from Road Maintenance. Only one bid. Can you believe that?
No,
Huh. It's a small town, and they like to hire local people.
they went through the correct process. They asked for multiple bids. You can't force people to bid.
That's true. And anyway, amazingly, it was approved that Road Maintenance would do this project during the summer months.
Well,
Surprise.
It was a
Surprise, surprise.
They had to mull it over for a long time, but I think they made the right choice.
They made the right choice. Definitely made the right choice. Okay, so then the next thing that came up is appointments. They're looking for a community beautification committee. A couple of people want to volunteer for this, and it's Michelle. Change your name to Michael.
Oh.
Michelle Hout. And then also Megan Rayner was the other person that wanted to volunteer to do this. And of course, anybody that wants to volunteer, no problem, you're pretty much in. So that was worked out and agreed upon. It was approved. Chairman McDonald, President McDonald, he said that Oakland County Local Road Improvement Grant is in the progress of being approved. Doesn't feel that there's going to be an issue there. He said he'll make the trustee board aware of the progress as it moves along.
Do they have a target date when that's supposed to start?
Well, they're thinking probably this summer, more likely.
Okay.
It might take longer than that, maybe into the fall, but the main thing is that he has applied for it. He's jumped through all the hoops.
Unlike
required.
Oxford's, which is almost, about a year or two.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, that would be the M24.
Right.
Let me see. Is it going to be 2018? No. 2019? No. 2020?
Could be.
Maybe. 2021? Could be. We don't know.
Like shooting those little moving ducks,
Right.
Oh, whoa.
All of a sudden, you wake up one morning and there they are. Bulldozers, trucks, all the gadgets they have, jackhammers.
And as Gomer Pyle would say, surprise, surprise, surprise.
All right. It shouldn't be a surprise because they notify you years ago that this was going to happen, didn't they?
Years and years ago. Okay.
Years and years and years. Okay. So anyway, that was an issue. The grant money is going to be, it looks like approved. Everything is going forward on that. I think that's a TAP grant. Well, it may not be a TAP grant. We'll have to check that out, won't we?
What does TAP stand for?
Transportation Authority, something or other.
Nice try.
Yeah, I asked you to take a note on that last time, remember?
I did.
What did you do with it?
I put it right up here. It said TAP. Made no
Okay.
sense to me, but a day later.
Maybe we'll find out when we come back after this, folks. What happened to the TAP?
On Schooling Around, we don't just school around. We get with everyone from the superintendent to the kids to find out what's new in Oxford schools. Schooling Around, only on OCTV.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about what is a TAP grant.
Taxation Alternative Program.
Yes,
Ta-da!
it's a Michigan program. And so that's what the little town of Village, or the village of Leonard is going after. And it looks like they're going to get that grant. Village newsletter. Chairman, President McDonald said that the village newsletter that they had discussed in the past will be going out soon, but he needs funding for both publication and mailings.
Ah,
They're required, and he requested.
and they would probably put it up on their website too.
More than likely, they would do that. But he's requesting $200, to
Okay.
do this. And of course, that was immediately approved. Unfinished business, Elm Street project. Concrete repairs are going to begin in April. let me see, and April 23rd is when it's going to begin.
Does that imply sidewalks?
Yeah, it's repairs, it's curbing, that kind of
Okay.
thing that needs to be repaired. Row engineering will be the first ones to show up, more than likely, and then soon after, you'll see the trucks arrive with the workers.
Okay.
So figure that April 23rd is the beginning of that process for Leonard. Now, Phyllis, who was in the audience, noted that there is a drainage issue that needed attention, and suggested, where this was at. And they discussed that just a wee bit because there was a culvert there. I guess it was an issue. And so that was being pursued. If you want to learn more, go to OCCTV.org and check on the meeting. Then Dan from DPW, I never did get his last name. Take a note.
Dan.
Dan the man, who's the guy in charge of DPW, which is interesting because the guy in charge of the DPW here in Oxford, his name's Dan.
Yep.
Not the same Dan though, different Dans. Okay, but anyway, this guy said that he's going to start soon grading the gravel roads, in the area. So just be aware that the vehicle will be out. Letters sent to location 4285 Forest Street concerning a dwelling there apparently that was on fire.
Oh,
And
I guess
the
you would send a
building-
letter.
The building is damaged and it's been there for quite some time.
Oh,
And there's a certain amount of time, according to ordinance, that you need to remove the debris.
So
Well,
they
it
weren't-
hasn't been done.
they weren't sending it to that location. They were probably sending it to the owner of that place.
Right. And what happened is they've been served notice, however, no response to the notice. So it's in violation. And
Do
so,
they know who owns it?
Well, they do. And
Okay.
they're going to also send a response to this that the property has to be cleaned up or then they will be ticketed.
Charged for
Yep.
cleaning it up.
They will. Okay, Mike McDonald, board meeting is going to be May 14th at 6 p.m., a special meeting, which is going to involve the joint meeting of the Planning Commission as well as the trustees. And you folks are publicly welcome out there. And that again is May 14th at 6 p.m. North Oakland Transportation Authority, they had discussed that, the NODA, and for the millage renewal, which is going to be in August in a vote, was approved in terms of the verbiage in which it's going to be on the ballot, I suppose. And the renewal is for 2019 through 2024, just so you folks don't realize that's what it is. And it would be for a $0.50. And I don't believe that's an increase, although I could be wrong. We spread a rumor.
No, okay.
Okay, I don't think it's an increase though. Also, there was a complaint from the audience when it was all finished, said and done. Newspapers that are tossed out on their driveways by, I believe, the Detroit Times. And they lay
Detroit
there.
Times? There's a Detroit Times?
Detroit Times.
Free Press?
Free Press, yep, Detroit Free Press. That's why they're free. That's why they're out there. They're free, folks.
No, I don't think,
Four-letter
I don't
word,
think they
not a good one.
continue to do that. They do that as sort of an advertising.
They do that, but they've been contacted by several residents who said, we don't want these newspapers. One guy says, I got a whole garage full of them, and this kind of thing. But I think it has to do with freedom of press, something along that line, or freedom of speech. And I'm not at all sure that they can stop it. What do you
Well,
think about that?
maybe there's something similar to the do not call registry.
Maybe there is.
Do not drop that newspaper.
Take a note. We'll check on it, okay, in the future. Anyway, so that takes care of the Leonard meetings. And the next one that came up was the Oxford Village Council. Of course, Sue Bassarded is the chair of that board. Eric Dolan is the vice chair. Maureen Helmuth serves on the board, as does Joe Frost and Dave Bailey. Now, Joe Medora, of course, is the village manager, and he was there. Drew Benson is the intern village manager, and he was there and doing the recording. And Bob Davis, the attorney, which they don't go far without the shadow. The shadow knows. That would be the attorney.
Keeps them on the straight and narrow path.
Yes, and they don't make a move unless they ask. Okay.
Mother
And
may I.
He never tells unless he's asked either. It isn't volunteer things, and he shouldn't as an attorney. Okay, so they did the pledge. Moment of silence involved. They don't have a prayer every time, but they do have a moment of silence for those that are deceased from the war and whatever. Also, the agenda, Eric Dolan chimed in. He said, look, I want to put on the clerk treasurer position as one of the items tonight and put it under old business. And he said, I'm also upset. He said, I'll discuss this later during the meeting. He said, as to why this is not on the agenda this evening. Okay, so then the agenda, the main agenda was approved. Motion was made and approved, and everybody said, yay, we'll do it. Presentations, no presentations. Public hearing, none. We're rolling along, just about done with this one. No, we're not. Call to the public, non-agenda items. Brian Cloutier, the library director,
Yeah.
gave a presentation, kind of a short one, but he said that there's 100 years of music history that they have on display from 1850 to 1950, and it's housed in glass enclosures.
Are we talking like music sheets?
I don't know. You folks will want to go and find out. But he says it's very informative. He says, and interesting enough, one of them
Is that a traveling thing, or is it something that's always been there?
it's something that was offered by the Historical Society in the museum in town
Okay.
as a temporary thing,
Okay.
just loaned to them. So, and they do work very close with the library on this, these kind of things that go on. So,
So
anyway, one of the
it must have a closing date of some kind.
it might have. Take
Thank
another
you.
note.
I like
I have
definitions.
no idea. Anyway, I don't see that pencil being used very often over there. But anyway, he wanted to point out that one of the music scores was for the song for the high school. It was
Oh.
developed by a student way back, I think in 1940, something along that line.
And they still use
They
it.
still use it today, to this very day. Rotary Club, that was another thing he wanted to bring up, is that an award for G.E. Meads Award from the Rotary Club is going to be presented to our very own Bill Service,
Oh,
station
wow.
manager here.
Very nice.
Yep, and it's normally awarded to for special activity performed for non-Rotary Club members, and nominated for that.
Oh,
So
very
he will
nice.
be receiving that award coming up.
Our own service
Very
manager.
prestigious. Yep. Congratulations, Bill.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll be back right after this.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Oxford Village Council meeting that they had on April 10th. And we just got through talking about an award that's going to be given to William Service.
Our man Bill.
Yep. And actually, the reward, or the award that's going to be given out is from a gentleman who was the first dentist in Oxford. And G.E. Meads is his name. And we'll go on with that, receive and file letters and reports in minutes. So that was all followed through with. And minutes for March 27, 2018, for the regular meeting and the workshop also. They had a workshop, if you recall, we covered that last week. That was approved as well. Bills for $42,005.69 were approved. Unfinished business, discussion of snow removal ordinance by Bob Davis. And what he did is he gathered various ordinances from various local communities as an example of maybe what Oxford should do.
Best practices.
Best practices. And there's two divisions, he said, they should be broken into. One is emergency. The other one is for regular snow removal or shoveling type thing. And so he discussed that to some degree, with the board, and they agreed to receive and file it. Motion made by Dolan, seconded by Joe Frost. Now, the clerk position was the next thing that came up, and the first thing Eric Dolan said is, hey, we're going to get back to this, I told you. And he said, now I requested, he said, that this be on the agenda this evening. He said, and it was ignored. He said, it was not put on the agenda, and he said, I'm upset over that.
Not a person to ignore.
No, and he said, any of these trustees have the ability to bring it, to the agenda if they wish to do that. All they have to do is request it. He said, I requested it. He said, and it was not placed on the agenda.
Did he request it at that last meeting or
Right.
in between?
He contacted them with an email
Okay.
to Joe Madore, And Joe Madure, in his defense, he said, well, I didn't move on it because I talked to Sue Bassardit, the chairperson. She says, well, don't put it on yet. She said, I'll talk to Eric Dolan and get back with you on it. Well, Joe Madure said nobody ever got back to him, so he assumed everything was settled.
And like Cool Hand Luke, they had a failure to communicate.
They did, as usual, as could be. Okay, but anyway, non-ability to communicate was not one of Eric Dolan's better suits. So he wanted to make it very clear that this was not the right procedure to do this.
Okie dokie.
Then he said what we want to discuss, of course, is the position that's open for the clerk. He said that it's been a year since the clerk has left, Susan Nasser, and he said no, that position has not been filled. And he'd like to know why it hasn't been filled since it's budgeted. The money is in there for the clerk. Well, Joe Madure said the person that they have in there now, I'm trying to think, Fisher?
Lori.
Lori Fisher is in that position. He says she's doing a great job at this point. And so he said that he kind of inferred that he wants to keep her. But Eric Dolan pointed out, well, she's not certified to be a clerk. She's not certified to be a treasurer. And she hasn't gone under the process of certification. So he said, you know, shouldn't we be looking for somebody who's certified? And Joe Madure said, well, that's just a formality. He said, you know, anybody can take the test, you know, and that kind of thing is kind of his reply.
Well, the
Might
trick
not be
is
in
you got to
his
pass it.
exact same words. Yeah, then you got to pass it. So he said, actually, it's insignificant, the certificate, in a way that may not be his words
You
either.
told Eric that?
Yeah, and Eric said, well, to him, it is. Okay. So anyway, so they got back to that, and they actually ended up talking about the budget process and what's going to happen. And Joe Madure says, well, the problem with the budgets is that there's always unexpected things that come up. He said, like I had a bill from AT&T for $10,000. Who expected it? He said, not me. I never expected it. He said, did you expect it? No. So he said, those things happen. So he said, it's hard to control, you know, what's going on. But he said, he's got a budget put together, and he said he will provide a copy to each of the council members, in which case he would then ask for a special budget meeting in which they would sit down and go line by line through the budget as far as approval. And they pretty much agreed with that. That would be the right approach. But Eric Dolan said, I want to make one last jab. He said, with all due respect, he said, your position has its difficulties. He said, I recognize that. But he said, the position is budgeted for this full-time clerk. He says, so you should need to move on this. And actually, Maureen Helmuth, she chimed in and she says, I don't want to rattle chains here, but you got to fill this position, clerk position. It's been too long. And according to Dolan, of course, he wants to know where they stand on, you know, the clerk being hired. So it's a big issue.
Have
Still
they
is a
done?
big issue.
Have they done any interviews?
That never came out in this meeting. And yet it's been a year since this opening has been out there.
Well, that goes along with it. Do they advertise for that position?
I haven't seen anything. Have you?
No,
Okay. I would make an assumption here.
not in Brandon.
Probably not. Yeah, they wouldn't advertise in Brandon. I mean, you know, what do they have? Chipmunks, squirrels, porcupines.
Highly qualified ones.
Highly qualified. They all took the certification, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I knew it. Okay. So anyway, they all agreed that a workshop for the budget would be held 6:30 p.m. Monday, April 23rd. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. So that'll be the next major step to the budgeting. Dolan chastised Sue Bassardit publicly for not putting this on the agenda. You know, pretty much said, hey, shame on you. So anyway, so Sue Bassardit, of course, didn't say much about this. She just kind of let it ride. New business, special event permit application. Now, this is quite a subject that came up. They believe that the village council, that there should be a fee, or should be the people that put on the events should pay for police, DPW services, all is required, because in the past, the village has paid for it. And according to Bill Dunn,
What group are they referring to?
well, they're talking about like the, it could be similar to the Lone Ranger Parade, it could be a Christmas parade, it could be any number of things if it's a,
Are some put on
Event.
by organizations under the township council?
well, the Chamber of Commerce, for example, they do the Christmas parade.
Well, they're
I believe.
independent.
Yeah. Well, they are, but they're still using the services.
True, true.
So that's the point that was brought up.
But how about DDA?
DDA is doing a project, and they're already funding the DPW. For example, DPW, they provide $60,000 a year to
Right,
them.
right, right.
So that wouldn't be an issue, and that was pointed out that wouldn't be an issue for the DPW.
How about the, what do they call it? The mutter thing?
The mutters, that's township pretty much
Okay,
requirement, not
all
the
right.
village.
Okay.
And one final thing here is talking about the budgets. Terry Stiles, our executive director for the station here, made it very clear that when they do the final budgets and review of the franchise fees, that she wants to be on the particular agenda for that,
Okay.
that meeting. Makes sense. With that, what's going on?
Well, we do have meetings on 4/23 at 4 o'clock, the OACCC, or the
Oxford
Area
Communications.
Cable Communications
Those
Commission.
guys. Okay.
We'll be
He
meeting
forgot what it was,
at
so
4 o'clock.
I'm not going to help him out.
anyhow. That's our mother body, and
Yeah, those guys.
we'll be having a meeting there on. Some people think it's the last Monday of the month, but really it's the fourth Monday.
Yeah, be there.
And we got 5 Mondays, so they one short. Okay. On 4/24 at 6:30, the Village of Oxford Council will be meeting again.
Would be.
And on 4/26 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission. And that's it.
That's all you got, huh?
That's all I got.
This is Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch
Drop
you
that
next-
mic.
Catch you next time right here.
Okay, bye-bye.